So you just bought the bike of your dreams, this Scott foil with 105 Dion tool with it, carbon fiber wheels, carbon fiber frame, integrated bar and stem, absolute beautiful bike. But we have a problem. You just spent $5,700 on this bicycle plus tax. And you hid that from your wife. You cannot spend any more money on your bicycle, but you really want to get a power meter. A bike of this caliber should come with a power meter, but it doesn't. Also, you've been watching a ton of YouTube out there. You're seeing all the pros in the Pro Peloton riding 165 cranks. This is a size 56. It comes with a 172.5 crank arm. What do we do to solve this issue? You want a power meter? You could buy a Stages left side non-drive power meter that only gives you the estimated on this side, but it doesn't solve the crank length. What do we do in this situation? Well, Magine has a fix for that. Introducing the Magine PES P515. This is their updated version of their aluminum crank that they released a while back. They've made some nice upgrades to it to bring down the weight, I believe, to 625 grams for the whole set with a power meter included. They brought down the power accuracy to plus or minus 1%, which is pretty much better than SRAM Cork out there. It's on par levels of Favera Asioma as well. And the best of both worlds, it's a 24 millimeter spindle and a 4-bolt 110 BCD. So you can literally buy this crank at the crank length you want it, 165, swap it onto your bike with zero other upgrades needed. And it only comes in at $300. So now you're getting a power meter that does left and right accuracy. You're getting a crank length that you like as well. And it's pretty much in realm with a power meter 105 or Ultegra crank, which we're going to weigh in just a second. But let me show you guys exactly what this thing looks like. So like I said, I've done a video on this on the past of the older model, and I put it on my Polygon with Dura-Ace because the bike did not come with a power meter. And also, I really wanted the 165 cranks, which is this is what I got in here now. And this thing goes for $300, and that's pretty competitive out there. I think a Stages left arm power meter upgrade for a 105 is like $250. And I think an Ultegra is like $350 if I'm not mistaken. So like I said, that's a decent company with a reputation as well. But the bad thing is that you're stuck with the original crank arm length. So you have to swap out everything. This takes advantage of that. You can get in a 170, a 165, 172.5, 175, whatever you like. And it's very, very easy to install. And you guys might think, Grant, you know, this looks, I thought it was going to be for the more expensive stuff like the Dura-Ace. I want to know what I can do for that with a different power meter. And we all know how, you know, inconclusive the Shimano power meters can be. They also have a crank over here, which is not about this video, but this is a full carbon fiber crank with power meter and dub spindle on here that weighs in at 422 grams, which is mind-blowing. That's lighter than a Cybre and SRM crank, but that's for another day. So we have our non-drive side left crank arm, simple. We have our power meter right here with our 4-bolt in here. And then we have our spindle side. So again, all we have to do is remove our crank that's currently on the bike, put the chain rings over, and we'll be good to go. This looks to be the lock ring. So let's go ahead and get at it. So inside the box, like I mentioned before, you get the left non-drive side crank arm. You get your right drive side with our spider lock and also the power meter on here as well. They use a magnetic charging system to go ahead and charge up the battery. They also increased the battery life for this model. The old one was 200 hours. This is now 240 hours, which is actually really good. And they give you the preload nut, which you'll install, and also chainring bolts and the tool to go ahead and install your chainring tool. So let's go ahead and put that on there as well. I do have a code, if you guys are wondering, GC515. It should give you a percentage discount off on there, so keep that in mind. I'll put it down in the description and the link below. So all you'll need is like this tool right here, which is a disc brake lock ring tool to put this thing on, or you can get a socket, whatever you want. Actually, no, you can't get a socket. This would be much easier if there was not a camera in the way. Boom. Bazinga. Oh, God. All right, so now to remove our existing crank that's on here. And you can, the best thing about this, again, like I said, is that you can actually use the stock Shimano chainrings on there. Or if you have your own chainrings you want to try out, like a Digirit or any other crank, as long as it's a 4-bolt 110 BCD, you'll be good. But like I said, the best thing about this freaking crank is the fact of compatibility with everything stock. Because in my personal opinion, a bike of this caliber should come with a power meter. But a lot of manufacturers do not agree. So any bike with a Shimano 105 or Ultegra that you want to go ahead and get a really nice power meter and crank system and maybe change up your crank arms, that's great. All right, so now we have to remove our chain rings over here. We have 4 T30 bolts, and the best thing about these Shimano chain rings is that they literally just screw into the chain ring itself. So we don't need to use their chain ring bolts they give us like these that screw into each other. So we want to go ahead and loosen these things up. Bam. Boop. Bop. Watch your fingers on here and your knuckles, because you can definitely hit one of the chain ring teeth, and oh my goodness gracious, it will be the pain of 1,000 suns. You'll have bleedy knuckles, and it'll just hurt for a long time, and then you won't know what to do with it. Stop talking over there, man. Stop. Dude, stop moaning.
You're fucking moaning, taking that shit apart.
Don't curse! I'm on my video.
You're fucking...
Did you say it again? Kids watch this.
No, they don't, bro.
Yeah, they do. A bunch of kids look up to me.
If I had $1 for every time a kid watched you...
A bunch of kids look up to me. I'm a hero. All right, remove the chain ring. Remember, these are also directional. So whenever you're taking apart something, keep in mind where they go. Also, you see that little notch on the bottom right here? That shows that it goes where the crank arm is, okay? So this one is gonna go outside. And we remove this from here. I'll show you. And this one, this little knob, this goes on the crank arm as well. So when installing it, don't worry about the noise. It's completely natural. Boom. Oh, and something to me, I think the aftermarket cranks with the Shimano chainrings look sick. You can also remove these little stickers, and I think they give you different color stickers. To me, the holographic logo, I feel like it's very 2020. It's not a bad look. It's just not for me right now. But yes, then we're going to put our chainring back on here like this. Like so. Now, you might need minor adjustments as well when putting these on, because it could be a different Q factor. It could be a wider spindle, because a Shimano crank on here, actually no, we should be good. We'll figure it out. I'll see how it performs once we get going. But yeah, we want to make sure we put everything in line. Like so. Like so. This is very simple, guys. A lot of people are intimidated by doing this, but trust me, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Also, if this was going to stay on there permanently, put some grease on those chainring bolts. Nothing's worse than a seize-on chainring bolt. I'm just going to give it down a nice little... And a lot of times, if you ever get creaking noises or cracking noises, check your chainring bolts. Beautiful. Very pretty. Let's put it on the bike. All right, here comes the stock weight of the Shimano 105 and a 172.5. So remember, the crank I'm installing is smaller. This is 557 grams. Shimano cranks are notoriously heavy for what they are. 557 grams. That is without preload nut, because we'll weigh both preload nuts because this is plastic, so it's a little bit lighter. 563 grams. Let's check a look at the machine. All right, and for the Magine crank, now keep in mind, this is with a built-in spider, but it does have a power meter, so it's going to be heavier. 413. 600. Wow, that's pretty good. Where is my 620 grams for a 165? Again, that's coming from, I think it was like 566. So only adding like 50 grams, which is really good to add a power meter on there that gives you left and right accuracy. It's estimated, but left and right accuracy and plus or minus 1%. Really, really good for that deal. All right, so let's go ahead and install this stock Magine crank. Again, we're using the same bottom bracket. Slide on into the Shimano hole. Oh, smooth like butter. Smooth like butter. Put on the smaller chainring for now. Put that over. Also, they mentioned that they fixed some issues I guess they were having with a T47 interface. I never experienced that because I only had BSA, but I guess it's a good thing for you guys. You want to push over. Whenever installing a crank, always give it a nice push on the drive side. You want as much of that room taken over. Now we're going to install our preload nut that Magine gives us. This looks to be an 8mm. You want to make sure that you install the preload nut first. And then once you get the preload nut inside there, then you tighten down the pinch bolt. It does no good if your pinch bolt is tightened down first, because then you're just tightening nothing. Keep that in mind, folks.
I'm hot.
Are you talking about it? I'm gonna go to McDonald's, bro. It's a 10 mil, sorry. Boom. Butter. Now we're going to tighten up our pinch bolt. Get our 5mm. If I can find my 5mm. Look at that. This job literally took me 20, 30 minutes to do. Now we're going to check the shifting though to make sure the Q factor is all good. Because like I said, if the crank's Q factor is a little bit wider, obviously check with your fitter first if you're really crazy about it. But you might have some shifting differences for the front derailleur. That's it. Yeah, so you hear how the front derailleur is rubbing on that outside chain right there. That's again because of the fact of the angles of it. So you go into the Shimano app, you bring it out a little bit, and then you would adjust it to where you want it at. Look at that. So right there. So that's it. Problem solved. We have now our power meter on our 5,700 blade. We have now our 165 crank arms. We can ride like Tade Bagacha. We are now ready to go. And like I said, it looks phenomenal on there. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you guys would like one of these cranks in the future. Because I think in the market right now, especially for Shimano cranks, this is one of the best options out there for just a quick, easy swap over with chain rings, same spindle size, one of the best readings in terms of power meter and accuracy as well. Check out GP Llama, check out other companies who've done reviews on them. Magine is one of the most highly acclaimed companies out of China who works on power meter stuff, so their stuff works really, really good. But yeah, only $300 with my code. I think it brings down to $260 for crank, arms, and spider. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.